is Farah, and I have my partner here today, which is Rebecca with me, and we will be the moderators for today's session. Before we begin, I'd like to run through some housekeeping rules. This session will last for 1 hour and 30 minutes, and it will be divided into two parts. Our panelists will have a discussion on the topic at hand for 45 minutes, and this will be followed by a Q&A session where you'll be allowed the opportunity to ask our panelists some questions. Also, a gentle reminder to all of our participants today to kindly switch on your cameras. You are required to switch on your cameras and also turn off your mics while the speaker is talking. Do remember to also rename yourself by inputting your full name _ your team number. Without further ado, let me introduce the speakers joining us today, Mr. Ong Joey, Ms. Manisha Kaur, and also Ms. Amira Azhar. Now, I would like to invite the speakers to briefly introduce yourselves. Maybe you can start off with Ms. Amira.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amira, and I'm currently an associate with Mrs. Rosie Dalan Saravana Partnership. I'm currently doing tax law. Thanks for inviting me, MLSN, for this talk, and I look forward to hear questions from you guys, and what are things you guys want to know about stepping in the legal industry.
Thank you, Ms. Amira. Maybe you can move on to Ms. Manisha.
Okay, hi everyone. I am Manisha Kaur, and I am in my second year. I'm now with Mrs. Hakim Arabi. I just finished practicing with Mr. Gobind Singh Deo, our MP, and I currently am doing civil and family, which is a huge jump from what I've done previously with him. So I look forward to explaining and giving you all an outside of what I've done for the past 2 years.
Thank you, Ms. Manisha, for your introduction. Now we'll move on with our last speaker, Mr. Ong Joey.
Hi everyone, I'm Joe. I'm currently practicing as a first-year associate at Mrs. Trudy Way. We do quite a range of things, from corporate to family to all other things basically. So I'm hoping that today's session is going to help everyone with to just give a brief insight on what everyone could expect to come for practice. Yeah, hope you have a good time.
Thank you, Mr. Joe. Now that all of our speakers have already introduced themselves and we already got to know a bit more about them, now I'd like to pass the floor to my partner, Rebecca, to continue our panel discussion for today. Rebecca, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Farah. So I think it's time for us to start the panel discussion today. So in the meantime, participants can drop their question if they have anything to ask the three speakers here. So firstly, I would like to ask the question to three of our speakers here. So what inspired you guys to enter the legal practice? So Mr. Joe, Ms. Manisha, and Ms. Amira, you guys can take turn to answer the question.
Okay, can I go first? Because mine is very basic. Mine is just passion and, the drive to want to do law from like a very young age and everything. Mine is so cliche. I'm pretty sure everyone feels that way, like, yeah, I want to be a lawyer and stuff like that. I actually started because I used to like the way they dress, black and white. And I used to love the color black and white. So I'm like, I want to be a lawyer. So that's what I'm going to be. And I've had this mindset since I was 12 years old. For me, it was just about the way they dressed and the way that they carry their briefcase and the files and everything, going in with style and all that. That was my main, the main reason why I decided not to be a lawyer. And then later on, when I looked into the law and I started reading about the law, and that just jumped on. So that's for me. Yes.
All right, so as for me, so basically I came from a public university. You guys want to know, I'm from UITM. So entering a public university, you've got something that's called, I think if I'm not mistaken, UPU, where you can actually list out the things you actually want to do and further your studies upon. I wanted to do accounting, actually. But I didn't get the opportunity, and I was given a place to do law at UITM. So I thought I would have just taken it and give it a shot. So I read law, I wouldn't say that I was 100% super interested in it, but it was something that I already committed to. So I continued reading law, graduated, and then upon graduating, I didn't think about what to do next. It's just that just generally because I have a law degree, I thought the right thing to do is just try and practice. So that's what I did. I went for several interviews. Yeah, and I got a placement initially at a firm called Hafarizam One Aisha Mubarak, where I did general litigation, my pupillage, but I didn't finish because I got an offer from Masters Lee, Shamuddin, Ellen, and Gladhill. I left One Hafarizam, and then when I went to Lee Shamuddin, I was interviewed by my current boss now, Mr. Sarah, who's doing tax law. So that's how I got into tax. Yeah, and where I am right now. So while working, sorry, not studying, while working, I sort of gained interest in tax law. I mean, it sort of tiny bit relation to the accounting I wanted to do last time, I guess. So yeah.
Okay, for me, I think mine would be totally contrary to Miss Manisha. So because I was never the most passionate person about law, I would just be at the last row in my class. So anyways, but because I've already stepped my foot in it, I felt that perhaps just try to see what works best for me, and hopefully I still like it. And perhaps the question now would be actually what keeps me staying in the legal practice. I mean, if at all, I do enjoy it from the point that it gives or it ties in a lot with logic or the practical aspects of things. Like, for example, yes, we're dealing with the client's problems. You get to know how they mess up in terms of them running their business, their company, their contracts, or their tenants, for example. But once you have that idea that you're actually familiar with how the mechanics of a company could run, how does it actually feel like to rent out your house, then that is that kind of satisfaction that keeps me going in the legal practice.
I see. It's really interesting to hear three speakers that has different stories. So we have two questions in the chat box. So firstly, it's from Tai Qing. She said that what to expect upon stepping into legal practice. So maybe I can direct this question to Mr. Joe first.
What to expect? Okay, for starters, I don't think you would need to be equipping yourself with all the necessary knowledge of law, etc., because once you first step in, I'm pretty sure your employer would also be like, he's new, he or she does need to take time to actually get used to practice. But what's most important, I would say, is your energy and your level to adapt to new scenarios, because that is the thing that they know that they can work with you, as well as slowly nurture you and improving you to become an actual practitioner who would be there for years to come. So I think the most important thing is really your energy in terms of learning.
I would actually say the same. I think it's the drive, the drive to want to be able to succeed in life also, I feel, and in whatever you want to do, especially if you have already you are certain on doing law, for example. Then why not, right? Give it a chance. But when you want to do just anything in life, it's all about the determination and that motivation to actually succeed. Yeah. That's how I go, try myself to it.
I agree with the two of them. I think because we are all very fairly new also in practice and all that. So we understand that without the drive, we cannot actually go on. You're going to get up every day and you're going to be like, do I really need to do this? Do I really want to do this? Can I find something else to work at? And all that. But yeah, if you have the drive, if you have the, that passion to get up every day and be like, okay, I'm up for the challenge. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try something else. I'm going to learn something else and all that. Then I don't think it's going to be an issue for anyone.
Yeah, I do agree too. The most important thing is to do what we love in life, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have the next question. It's from Yi Bun Lo. She asked that what is the key quality that a top Malaysia firm looking for? So maybe Miss Manisha, you can answer this question first.
I think it's also about the drive. All law firms are looking for an associate or even a pupil that is willing to, put in the hard work, but at the same time enjoy doing what they do. Not just doing it for the sake of it. And then it's a two-way thing. If you're gonna come in and you're gonna be like, I know with my boss when I was doing my pupil, we constantly had these weekly meetings where they asked, do we have any complaints? Do we have any like reservations? How can we improve on this? How can we improve on that? And I felt that was very important for me because it gave during that 9 months that I was chambering, and then once I went into practice also and all that, for me it was, I never felt that I was doing any less than anyone else, and I think all firms look for someone that can, like, first obviously you complete the work with on like top-notch quality and all that, but at the same time you are willing to put in that effort, your determination, and you're motivated to work. If you're not motivated to work, then there's no point they hiring you, and then you're just going to give them like quality wise lah, half-ass quality and all that and stuff like that. So I feel like it's the drive and motivation and how much you want to do what the firm is actually practicing.
Yeah, I would say the same as well. So basically, I would say that I'm the most senior in my team currently because I'm a third year lawyer, and my firm is a very new firm. So when we call in paralegals, so I usually interview the paralegals myself, and then I would offer them placements upon my boss's approval, of course. So when I interview paralegals, especially, of course, I mean, if you're talking about top firms, because there's so many lawyers, right? So it is imperative. It is important, yeah, guys, that you guys really study hard and make sure that your results actually show, because your results will also be like will also give you that platform and the stepping stone to open the door. People might say that, oh yeah, doesn't mean I don't excel in don't excel in uni, I won't excel in work. But in reality, this is what employers want, because they think that you guys already have the basic, so it's easy. And your research skills, especially, research skills, not so much litigation skills, you can just build that up over time. But it's more of like, your effort in getting work done, punctuality as well, and most of all, yeah, whatever Manisha says is correct, because without the drive, you won't be able to do any of this. Yeah, you must have that drive to want to able to do it, want to able to succeed. Then only you can actually make a name for yourself and industry, I feel.
I think you guys pretty much covered it all. So perhaps only a little thing to add in terms of the drive and as well as the qualification would be to really put effort into your application, i.e. your CV and your cover letter. And I say this to add on to that so-called drive that Ms. Manisha has just stated earlier. Basically, if you are going to write in something to a firm which is pretty much standard that you're going to send to everyone else, that does not show you that drive. Do take your time to go through the firm's website, or maybe ask your friends on how the firm operates. Maybe those friends of yours actually do manage to intern or manage to work with them before. Find out what do they actually do in that firm and include it in your cover letter. And that actually shows that so-called intention or that eagerness to join the firm, which also shows that drive. And also when it comes to your CV, then I think Ms. Amira also mentioned about you having your results is like the initial yardstick of knowing where your level of research and legal knowledge is. So hopefully you do have that clearly written out in your CV in a very interesting and not lengthy of a manner, and you should be able to get into a spot in a big firm or any firm for that, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I actually started. I always I looked at the website of the firm, and then I see what are the practice groups available in that firm, and then see what I want to do. And I thought I wanted to do IP or IR, but I got into tax. So that's, yeah.
I mean, sometimes when I see through the general email of the firm, and then we have someone who is applying to our firm but addresses it to some partner who does not even belong to our firm, then we clearly know that he is actually maybe just doing a bulk application and not really super interested. And that alone is a major turnoff. So I would say that that is something that a firm does not want to see when it actually comes to applying to that said firm. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, three speakers. I think personally, drive, passion, and determination is crucial in working in every job, not only law firms, right? So next question we have Abigail. She asked that what was the most challenging part in practicing law? So maybe Miss Amira, you can answer first.
I wonder what is the most challenging part in practicing law. I think okay, so I don't know, based on my experience in my firm, how my boss actually structured the whole thing is that as soon as you become a pupil, you get your own file. So basically, you only report to your boss. You don't report to associate, or you don't get your associate or senior associate. I mean, you do. I mean, if you're friends with your associate, you'd be like, hey, can you help me check my work before I send it to the boss? That kind of thing. So I think that would be a challenge for the youngsters joining in the firm. I mean, depending how the firm is also run. And then I guess because it's different, right? Working and also being in law school. You have like court deadlines. You have to make sure that you're not negligent, because your clients can sue you for negligence if you fail to file an affidavit within 14 days upon service. So those are the things that I feel is that you guys got to take note, because those are the challenges. I mean, uni, you have all the time to do your assignment, and your lecturer must give you 1 month to complete your assignment, or you can get I mean, you can get extension of time filing your affidavit, but it's not something that you might want to tell your client, hey, I'm requesting for extension of time. Then you can't be like, hey, why? I want this matter to be sorted ASAP. So those are the things. And also, being able to manage other people, because in law school you only manage yourself and your lecturer, but in reality you've got to manage your clients. So I'm sure in school they taught you about, I don't know, client management, or the types of clients. There are angry clients, easy clients, hard clients, demanding clients, clingy clients, all this I've met. And I think those are the things that is quite challenging. And then also maybe if I don't know, if your firm is also blessed with so many clients, you've got so many files to manage. So time management is also key. Those are the things that I think is might be a challenge as a start, but I think as you go through, then everything will be easier. I mean, if you already drafted like 20, 30 affidavits, I think the following will be I mean, you sort of know what the things to say, and things like that. But it also accompanies with research, because if you're doing dispute resolution, it's anything under the sun. So you have to do anything. So it could be like what, family accident, could be tax also, it could be like, I don't know, some CBT, Yeah. So those are the challenges you might face when practicing. I'm sure my friends Manisha and Joe
Yes.
might share the same view. Do you guys? I don't know. Yeah,
I do. I share the same view, but I have always had issues with time management. From the time I was in uni until now, I've been the kind of person, I have this mindset, for some reason, I'm better under pressure. So I think my biggest challenge that I faced when I joined practice is that how severe the consequences can get if you do not manage your time properly. Because like Amira just mentioned, affidavits and different type of clients you constantly have to deal with your boss. Somehow you can count him here and there with deadlines and extension of time and all that. But with them, no, because you constantly have to also update them, like what you're doing, when's the next date, this, that, and all that. So they know everything. So the really clingy clients are the ones that So, even before you can update them on like what happened today with their case, they'll call you and they'll be like, so what happened? This one and all that. So if you're like, oh shit, actually I asked for an extension and all, they'll be like, why you asked for an extension? It's like, what's happening? Then they come to the office. They sit down with you, like, what's wrong? Is something wrong? Like, can you please tell me and all that? So time management. My biggest challenge was time management. And I think it's also the independency that I was given from like being a pupil and coming into, being an associate. The first year, especially the independence I was suddenly given, and the responsibility, to draft everything and file in, even without my boss having to look at and everything. So for me, that was it was very hard for me to deal with, because I constantly felt that what if something went wrong in the affidavit, or what if something is wrong in the notice permohonan and all that. Eventually you learn, even if there were like small mistakes, nitty-gritty parts and all that, you learn eventually. But it's at that moment you feel like, oh shit, I filed it like this, it's wrong, they rejected it. How? What's going to happen? Is my client going to stay in jail? It's that kind of thing. But yeah, that's my main challenges. And honestly, challenges will keep coming. It's going to keep coming, and it's just how you deal with it and how you overcome it along the way. I'm in my second year. Amira is in her third year, and I'm pretty sure she's still facing challenges in different aspects and all that until now. So yeah. I can see, and I'm pretty sure Joe as well, he would agree with whatever that we have to say.
Yeah, I think that those are the really common problems that everyone will actually face, like stepping into practice. But for me personally, I think it's just the clients. Maybe I have kind of a soft spot or different approach to clients, especially if the clients come to me and say, okay, I've paid you this much of money. Now, why did I lose this application or lose this case and all? So I find it very hard to answer him, only because, yeah, client has paid something. I have done my work, but at the same time, is it because I didn't do my best, etc., hence why I lost? But that was really an obstacle for me until someone actually told me that don't think yourself as a lawyer, think yourself as a doctor. You go to the doctor, you pay for his consultation fees, he gives you medicine. There's no guarantee that he could cure your ailment or your disease. So little by little, it slowly sunk into me, and it does feel like, okay, he's paying me for my services, but there's no guarantee of a win. And slowly I feel better. But I really, really had a tough time in overcoming that question of why did I lose that case, for example. Yeah, so all the other issues are just spot on, i.e. when Ms. Manisha said, when I first filed that thing in, I'm not sure whether it's right or wrong, but later on, once I filed it, I actually realized that there's a mistake and, oh no, what am I going to do now? But later it just, okay, because you've experienced it once, you've already had that feeling, so it doesn't come so as a shock to you the second time if you do it. If you do it, hopefully you don't, but if you do it, it doesn't hit you so hard. Yeah. So it's just something that it gets better along with time.
Okay, thank you, three speakers. So someone asked, he or she is not a vocal or argumentative person, but he or she enjoy reading the law. So do you think like practicing law is suitable for him or her?
Maybe I would say don't do litigation, do corporate. I don't know. I'm not a corporate person. I cannot. I'm not the person to like sit down, whack, and draft agreements and all of that. It's just not me. I do it sometimes because it's what I have to do. But it's not my thing. Or you guys can also do. I guess. I think. Yeah, I think corporate. I would suggest corporate. I mean, don't leave if you love law so much. Don't leave. Thinking of an alternative. But if you love it so much, also give it a chance. Maybe try and go get your master to maybe train your advocacy or things like that. Follow him to court, and then most probably then you just gain exposure and also I guess confidence. Maybe you're lacking confidence. Maybe. I think that's something that I went through as well. I didn't like to speak in public. I'm very timid. I'm not timid lah. I'm amongst my friends. I'm just so out of but in front of people, in front of the judge and stuff. And then I also got the privilege to do legal aid. And I did legal aid at the Kuala Lumpur High Court. So what I do is that I help all this all these people, to like, we get bail or something like that. What do you call it? Legal aid
unrepresented people.
All this, yeah, but was it legal aid? Was it Is it memang legal aid? Is it legal aid? So many, right? So many legal
Yeah,
aid.
yeah.
What's the
Dog
one
brief,
that
is
when you
it?
go to court?
Dog
Dog beef.
Dog
Yeah,
brief.
yeah, it's called dog beef. So all these like unrepresented people and also maybe people that have like enough money or something like that. Yeah. So we actually assist them. So what we have to do is we have to do what we call mitigation before the judge, before the magistrate actually. So that actually really helped. So it's, I think in the span of like 10 to 12 weeks, I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. First, second, third week, I'm still stutter. But you just you got to do it, and that's how you sort of slowly, when you're forced to, when you just push there to doing that, maybe you want to try to take up dog brief, legal aid dog brief. I think there are a few choices,
Yeah.
depending where you accepted or if there's any placement or spot. Yeah, so that's how I started. So I also wasn't like vocal. I was telling myself like, how am I supposed to face the judge? But now it's like it's okay already. And then if you also there's so many case managements, so you start talking before the TP, before the registrar, deputy registrar, and then you'll gain confidence over time. Then after that you'll go on CM before the judge, and if the judge scold you, but it's okay. It's just scolding, right? I mean, it's just there, and then after you just forget about it. I got scolded before High Court judge in Penang before because they sent a pupil me and the judge wanted an associate instead, a representative, an associate. So so this whole experience that I've gained and garnered through, it's fun. I would say it's fun to look back where I was and where I'm right now. So yeah, give it a chance. Don't think that just because you're not vocal and taking into consideration that you love the law so much, go for it. Yeah.
I agree with Amira actually. Give it a chance. You like to read, and if practice is what you want to be in, so just start with the normal case management. I was lucky enough to do the bar, so I've done advocacy and everything there. And doing advocacy and all that, it really helps you build that confidence. You deal with different people and people that are not even like your, course mates and everything. They actually bring in real clients in for you to cross-examine, do conferencing to go and do bail mitigation, these, that, and all that. So I was fortunate enough, but I would also say, give it a try. Don't just because you feel like you're not confident enough to stand in front of a judge and say voice out your instructions and all that. Don't just immediately cross out practice based on that. Give it a try. I love advocacy. I love standing in front of the judge and giving them my instructions and all that. I love all that. So I would say give it a try. Don't give up yet. If you have tried it and you know for sure that's not what you want to do, you're more comfortable being behind a desk and just doing corporate work, drafting agreements, these, that, whatnot, then it's okay. But do not just cross out something without trying it. That is my advice.
Perhaps just a little to add. It can seem very scary at first, but like how Miss Amira said it, you start off with your TPs and all. It just slowly becomes second nature because later you realize that you're not actually submitting or really fighting in court per se. You're actually just more or less having a conversation with her, more or less. Then only then you think of, okay, addressing the judge. It's just a more formal manner that you talk to him. But it's just back to the basics of holding a conversation with the judge. If you look at it that way, it's actually not so difficult. And like how when Miss Amira said that she was actually sent to the Penang court and then she got scolded by the judge. Later, once you come back, or maybe for me at least, if you actually got scolded by the judge at the High Court, you then realize that, okay, I've already experienced this at the High Court. It's going to be way simpler when I go to the lower court or something like that. So later, when you go to the Court of Appeal, High Court is just going to be something so natural to you. So it's just taking that little step that the experience matters. And later, you just won't think of it as, I am just bad at advocacy. It just takes time. Yeah. But if at all, you really are not comfortable with it, you can by all means just perhaps talk to your boss, do solicitor work instead. Yeah. And you need not be the one presenting your case, but you can still be the one behind giving all the legal strategies, etc., etc.
Doing the groundwork, right?
Yeah. So at least, sorry, my advice is still just to try, but if at all, you can still work something out. It's not the end of the road for you. So please try at the very least, because I myself was never someone who was very vocal as well. I would just be like, case management, okay, I think I'm busy, let's go. It's okay. But because my boss forces me to do it, little by little, it's actually okay. I wouldn't say like, I love it, I want to go, but it just becomes like, okay, something I just had to go, but I can still do it. So it's pretty much all right. Yeah, you just got to try.
Yeah, it's true. I think one should actually face their challenges before doubting themselves because you're always better than what you think. All right. So we have a question from Noor Yasmin. She asked that is CLP required to work in a law firm? So because I understand that those who graduate from public universities, they do not need to take CLP before they are exempted from.
Okay, so in my law firm, right? Okay, so basically, if you're a public grad, yeah, you don't have to take CLP because you already learn the Malaysian law already system. But if you're an overseas grad, but you don't have CLP, but you can still work in a law firm, but you just be like a paralegal. Yeah, that's all. So you can still work in a law firm without a CLP, but I would suggest you to take a CLP because you wouldn't want to just damper your growth at only becoming a paralegal. Yeah, so I would suggest for you guys to go and continue and pursue CLP. But if you guys, for any reason whatsoever, then maybe join in-house, I guess. That's your other option. Yeah. But at RDS, we do take graduates without CLP.
I think her question is that when you're doing CLP, is it 100% you need to work in a law firm during that period of time?
Sorry, how is it again? Can you?
Okay, so when you're doing the 9-month CLP, right? I think it's 9 months, if I'm not mistaken. Is it 100% that you need to work in a law firm while you're studying?
I hope I can answer that. Yeah. It's not mandatory. You just need, because I mean, CLP itself, it does take up a lot of your time if you go for classes, of course. If you go for classes, you pretty have not much time left in your week itself. So I would still say if you do and you have that commitment to go for an internship or a paralegal position, then by all means go ahead. But from what I can see, or at least observe from my contemporaries, is that they tend to work, and after they work, they are very much drained and tired, and they don't go for class. And by the time the exam comes, sometime in June, but perhaps even before that, in March or February, they start opening their books, and then they'd be like thinking, oh no, there's actually so much to study. And then they actually give up already. So, and having a job or internship experience there, it's not to say bad, it's just that it can take up your time. And it's what I see to be the factor that demotivates a lot of people from actually passing the CLP exams. Only because they realize that it's too late or whatnot. Actually, it's not, but they just have that mindset in their heads. So if at all, you think you can do it, go for it. But personal advice, I wouldn't say so. Unless, of course, you do need the finances for it, for taking the job, then yes, please do. But you really need to have a very strong mental fortitude just to brace both the CLP as well as having another part-time or full-time job. Only because you realize that you have no personal time to yourself, and that is a recipe for disaster alone. So you must be very disciplined for that 1 year if you just want to pass or excel in both.
Actually, in RDS, we have a few CLP candidates working while studying. So what I see is that basically they'll take, I think, they'll take 3 months. I think they quit. They'll stop their paralegal job for like, I think, 3 months before the exam to focus. So what they do is they work, and then towards the end of the exam, when the exam comes, so I think they give themselves like, some give 1 month, 2 months. I've seen 3 months as well. They take that period of time to actually revise again, and then after that go ahead with their studies. But yeah, I would honestly think that you should just focus on this. My personal, not my personal experience, but from my point of view, I think you should focus first on CLP, then only join the industry, so that you are more confident in actually like passing the exam, because I heard it's hard. I'm not sure. I didn't do it, so yeah.
Okay, Miss Shalini, Shalini, she asked that how to deal with stress and burnout since legal industry is a very stressful industry. So I guess, Mr. Joe, you can answer this question.
How to deal with stress? You need to have a form of entertainment for yourself. First things first, you need to plan your time lah. Only once you plan your time well enough, then you actually do have some time for your entertainment. And actually, it just boils down to that only because all you know the saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Same for legal practice. Just that in the legal field, you are expected to work more overtimes, etc. Maybe come in on the weekend as well. So that alone, by nature in itself, the legal practice is already very hectic. So you must at least have some form of entertainment to yourself. Either that, or hopefully you have a bunch of fun-loving colleagues who would also have their moments of fun with you. Then it makes time much better in the office, and you won't be so easily burnt out by work. I mean, for me, if I'm just a little burnt out or I'm stuck at a certain point, I just walk to some other associate and then just be like, hey, what's up? Can you help me brainstorm a bit? And okay, after maybe listening to him or like just some jokes or listening to some puns by my associates, then okay, lightens up the mood. Then I can go back to work. And pretty much that's how I deal with these kind of stressful situations.
Miss Manisha, do you want to answer it?
I think for burn out, I would suggest to manage your time so that you do not, I'm agreeing with Joe, so that you do not have that burnout, I mean, initially, obviously, yes, you will definitely feel burnt out because everything is going to come in at once. And there's going to be, 1-2 weeks where the file just keeps piling up and you don't know which one to prioritize first. So I feel like at that point, just take a step back, maybe take an hour break, just sit down and visualize which one needs to be done first, even if the deadlines are very close by and you feel like, everything is going to come in at once and it's overwhelming. Just take a break and give yourself that a few hours of breather and then come back to finishing it up, because obviously deadlines, we cannot do anything about it. It's something that we have to comply with. So burnout or not, you have to finish that lah, no matter what. But at the same time, if you manage your time properly and you give yourself just a little bit of a leeway, just maybe go watch a movie or just watch Netflix for a while, for 1-2 hours, you automatically, your mind will become, and you wouldn't feel like it's overwhelming. Because I feel like when it gets too overwhelming, you go into a very depressive mood, and when when you're in that mood, you tend to show it in your work also sometimes. So try to just take a breather. And the current firm I'm in, right, they believe in this one thing: if you feel like it's too much, come and tell us and we will take a bit off your plate. So in that sense, I'm very lucky right now lah. But when I first started also, it was like, oh, we'll come in here and there, left and right and all that and stuff like that. But you just have to really manage your time. I found it hard as well. I used to go into this mood where everything was irritating me and everyone was being annoying. I just needed to focus on my work. And then eventually I realized that I was actually giving off bad energy, bad vibe to other people as well, not only me, So then I decided to change my ways. And like Joey said, sometimes just go and talk to someone that can make you laugh, or just watch something funny like Friends or Modern Family. That's really funny if you actually just sit down and watch for an hour or two and then come back and do your work. But as long as you finish your work, then after that, just take a day. Maybe you realize that, okay, after work today, I'm going to go and watch a movie, or like weekend, just do your own things. And that's how you deal with it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I would say you got to manage your stress properly, I guess. With me, how I deal with it, I will cry. Okay, the reality is that I will cry first. After crying, then when I feel a bit more okay, then I'll just look at my deadlines and then strategize. And if it's like really if I really 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 cannot handle, then I'll speak to my boss. So I think at the end of the day, it's still okay. This is like maybe a background most of you might not know. I'm actually a single mother. I have a son who is 4 years old, but yeah, I'm still practicing. So that drive is important. Without the drive, I think you would not. Without that drive I have in me, I guess, to succeed. And because I already have I think a career plan or career growth for yourself might help. So what I do is I have target to when I want to be a senior associate and a partner, and I communicate with my boss. So and then my boss would then guide me and tell me, so this is what you have to do in order for you to achieve all these things that you want. So that is my motivation and drive. So when I get like burnout and stress, which is inevitable, it will happen. It will happen every other day. Okay, but it's just how you manage it. I think that is very important. Yeah, it's doable.
I would just like to add on, Amira. When you say you cry, right? I didn't want to tell people this because obviously it's embarrassing.
Makes you
But I sit down in the car sometimes in the parking lot and I'll just scream. I'll scream my lungs out just so I feel much better, and it helps. It really helps. Yeah. So each to their own last.
Try to overcome. It's not sure about Joe. I'm not sure if he's gonna cry about it, but I'm gonna cry. If I feel better, I will cry.
If at all I scream, my whole office will hear. Barely, but it just happens sometimes. Oh, but one thing I just remember, if it's a tip on how to handle that stress, sometimes think about that feeling once you finish a certain task. It's like back then when you had exams, you had that ultimate level of freedom, that happiness that you finish the exams. Think about it as in the terms of work. You're going to know that, once I'm done with this task, the reality is that there will be some other task waiting for you. But at least for that brief moment, you do have that joy that, oh no, I'm actually done with this specific task. And if you keep that at the back of your head and you understand that level of, that you can still relate to that level of satisfaction, then yes, it does help you to complete that set task on hand. And then perhaps if that doesn't work out, then yes, scream and cry is totally all right for you.
Therapeutic.
Okay, to conclude what the three speakers just said, it's important to have a work-life balance because mental health we need to prioritize our mental health. Yeah? So Yi Hua asked that, what are the do's and don'ts during practice? So maybe I can direct this question to Mr. Joe first.
Do's and don'ts of practice. I'll just give one each. I'd say the do's is basically, again, show that level of drive and that level of energy, that commitment that your boss can actually rely on you. If your boss can leave things into your hands, then that alone is pretty much good enough. I mean, it's very generic on what I said, but that involves a lot of things, i.e., your ability to handle that file, do the research, do drafting, everything from ground up. Only then your boss is able to really leave things into your hands. Don't repeat your careless mistakes. I mean, there are mistakes. Every step along the way, you're bound to face into new things. So mistakes are definitely inevitable because more often than not, you just don't actually know about such scenarios that you may face. And that could be the reason of your mistake. But if you were to make that mistake again, that'd be very costly for yourself as well as the firm. And it just doesn't keep you in the right mood. So that is the biggest don't that I have to share, actually. Yeah.
And to add on to your don't, I think also macam don't procrastinate. I actually procrastinate at times, but then it will take a toll on me. So I think that would help, not procrastinating. And sometimes think like, okay, I have this extra time, so you're gonna sit on it, blah blah blah. And then at the end of the day, you're like, oh shit, I have this, and then suddenly something new comes in. I'm like, oh shit, I should have done this earlier. Things like that. They will just take a toll on you. So basically, sometimes whatever that comes upon me, it's something that I invited it myself. So yeah, I cannot blame. So, but procrastinating is so nice a lot of times. So don't procrastinate.
And don't take the shortcut, I would say. Just read up on the file, every single course paper. If you've given it halfway through, the matter is being heard and all that. Read everything. Don't take a shortcut by just thinking that, okay, someone has already filed all these documents and everything. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to look through it. I'll just have to focus about, from here on. So I would say, I mean, the effort, like Joe said, just the drive and the effort, it has to be at the very maximum level. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Manisha. So I'll direct this question to you. So Yishan asks, do you have any advice on preparing for an interview or application process?
Yes, I think like Joe mentioned earlier, read up on the firm that it is calling you in for an interview. Read up about what they're practicing, their people, and if they have publication, judgment published and all that. Read up about the cases that they've done. Read up on the judgment, because when I was called in for an interview last year, with Mr. Gobin, the first thing he asked me was, do you know this judgment that I just got in the Court of Appeal and everything? And I was like, which one? There are so many, and he printed out the whole judgment for me, and he was like, I'll give you 15 minutes, go in the room, read it, and we'll discuss the case. That was my interview with him. And so different people can be very different, but in order to prepare for an interview, I think it's very important the firm, the areas of practice, the people, Google about them, and I feel like you need to know the working environment as well, how the structure and the process is before going in for an interview also. So because they're going to ask you, they're going to be like, what are your expectations? So if your expectation is something that meet theirs, it'll be better for them also. And yeah, for me, that's very important, because we've had people come in, right? And we realize that when they when they send in a cover letter prior to an interview, their cover letter is actually addressed to someone else, another firm. And they're talking about like when I was Mr. Gobin, we were doing criminal and mostly count for the appellate court's civil litigation. So when that happened, we got an application with a cover letter that was talking about corporate matters. I'm very interested in corporate and conveyancing and all that. So when that came in, it was a bit like, wow, okay. But we did not see the cover letter up until the time when she came in for the interview. So that was a bit sad. So I think it's very important you cover all your grounds. You make sure you know everything about the firm, the people, the areas of practice. And if it's not an area that you have an interest to practice in, don't waste your time going in for an interview unless you're so sure that you can adapt to it. Because I feel like it's a waste of both sides' time. Yes, that's all.
Yeah, you also might want to highlight, the skills you possess. And then you don't go into interview, telling, say, my name is so and so, I am from here, I have 10 siblings, whatever. They don't want to know all of that. They just want to know what the skill sets, what are the things that you can offer the firm. What are the other extra things that other people can offer that you can. And those are the things that you want to highlight. And also we only have basically 5 minutes for you to talk or lesser. So you just got to go straight to the point. Yeah, don't go and tell your grandmother, grandfather story. Straight to the point. What can you offer? Yeah. Because the competition out there is crazy. There's so many first class students, so many, students with awards, with distinction, with this and that. So those are the things that, you've got to compete against. So yeah, go ahead, go for the punch. Tell them what you have to offer. Yeah.
So how about Mr. Joe? Do you have any advice on preparing for an interview or application process?
Nothing much to add. I think they have everything covered. Just be ready on what could they potentially ask for. It's different for every firm, but at least some basic knowledge. And then the rest is just knowing what you can find online, basically, from the firm. I think that's the least that you could do. Aside that, maybe just from what Miss Amira said on adding that skills, having the skill sets right on point, perhaps just to add into your CV in terms of your interest as well, because I know of certain firms that they get tied in just because you share the same hobby, etc. and whatnot. It does not harm you in any way if you put it in, but it's something that could get you on something. So if at all, that could do work for some people. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Joe, for the answer. So someone asked a very interesting question. So how would you rate your work-life balance from scale 1 to 10? One being at the age of life, and 10 being you have an excellent balance. And how is your current mental health state?
I would say I'm at a 6.5. Yeah. But I think I try to manage home stuff. I try to manage my child and my work. At the same time, I'm actually very lucky to have help at home. But yeah, so I try to go back from work at 5:30 every day if I could. There are days where I go back at 8, 9, 10, whatever, but that is not the case. But doesn't mean I go back at 5:30. I go back at 5:30 to make sure that I spend time with my kid, and then maybe put my kid to bed, and then after that I continue working for a bit, and then I sleep. But because I have a kid, that 9 to 5:30 is very important, very crucial for me to actually push and rush. So maybe some of my colleagues can just chill and do things first, read here, read there, stop, pause here and pause there. But for me, it's just that I try to make full use of that working hour period to get whatever things done. But I do. So when I come to office, what I do is first I read the news. Yeah, I read the news. So that is something that I enjoy doing. I feel to start the day, I need to know what's going on. Start the pace very slow, and then only then I just then go on with work. But yeah, to say I think work-life balance is 6. I would love to achieve an 8. I'm not there yet. Hopefully with more associates coming in, then most probably it is actually achievable. Yeah. Maybe not 8 lah, maybe 7. 8. Awesome.
Mine's at a 5, I would say, but that's only because I'm still trying to find that balance. Because I'm still, only 2 years in practice, and I'm still trying to find that. And I'm not like Amira, I'm fortunate enough that I'm not fortunate or unfortunate, whatever. But I'm not married, I'm still living with my family, I'm still living at home and everything. So whatever it is, no matter how late I work, so I know, okay, there's food for me at home. I don't have to worry about anything. I go home to a proper bed, and I don't have to do things by myself, wash things, and everything. We have help and all that. So I think in that sense, I'm not like, burnt out or anything, but I just like not having to rush and my work up until 5:30 and all that. I like taking it slow, and I don't have anything drastic to do after 5:30. Like Amira has a kid, so she has that commitment there. I, on the other sense, I just take my time and do my work. So sometimes after lunch, I'm too full. I'll just sit down for a while in front of my computer and I'll just scroll through other things instead of just doing work first and everything. So then I'll just have to start back work properly at 3 o'clock and all that. So yeah, I don't go back very late also on a daily basis, and not all weekends I work. So the only reason why my work-life balance is at 5 is only because I am too young to actually be very laid back to reach 7, 8 yet. The commitment is there when it comes to work. So yeah.
I'd say mine's around 7. I would go higher, but if my boss were to see this, he'll be joking about, oh, why, not enough work, is it? That kind of thing. But yes, it roughly parks at around 7. It's not to say it's not hectic at all. It's just that my team is, I have to give a heads off to my team. They are really, really, really fun and really, really nice. So pretty much I'm like Miss Manisha, I would take my time to do my work, and most of my other colleagues as well. So then sometimes after 6 or 7 or so, everyone starts just be in a more chill mood to get work done. I mean, during the day, sometimes we're in court anyway. So once we rush back and all, we do take time to settle in. But after 6 or 7, we are more chill. We still get work done, but at the same time, it's in a very enjoyable environment. So we can just shout in a good way, like to one another, just for the banter, just for the jokes, but it just lightens up the mood. So that in itself is my kind of work-life balance, because it just lightens up the tension at work. So I don't feel so stressed even when I go home. Yes, I still go home pretty late, maybe 11 or 12. I know some other firms will be way later than that. But at least by the time I go home, I don't feel like I'm just still having to something to look forward. At least I still have something to look forward to the next day. It doesn't keep me demoralized and so on and so forth. So I give it a good 7.
I think it's good to
Happy for you. Good for you.
sorry. I think it's good that all speakers achieve a scale above 5. So I think I'll direct this question to Miss Amira. So what are the things you wish you could have known while in law school?
I think most probably I think doing actual work, and maybe like, okay, I think because when I was in law school, what happened is that our final year is very we work in a law firm sort of in my final year. So we have like files, we have those blue files that looks like, the blue files we have in the office. I think that experience the experience of having a sort of real client, real file management, chronology and all of that to do, I think is very helpful. So if your uni will not provide that kind of exposure, you might want to have that implement in your curriculum, maybe in your syllabus, to be able to experience firsthand before entering into the real legal industry where you really work with real clients and whatnot. I think that is very beneficial and very helpful, and I'm grateful that my university gave me the opportunity. So but being in the university and being a student, you just like I guess you don't take full at 100% opportunity to actually learn and really see and look into it. At that time I was like, oh, okay, so this is just how it's going to be, blah blah blah. And then when I was in real life, I thought like, I should have focused more, so that I would have known better on how what is step 1 till step 1, meaning opening the file, up until maybe step 10, closing the file. So I wasn't really focused there. I wish I was, but I think it's okay lah, because I learn over time anyways. Yeah, so that's just about it. Nothing much, yeah, really. I mean, coming into legal industry without knowing anything, I mean, like I did tax law, I didn't even learn tax law in university. So, I mean, you gain knowledge when you get the file actually. So that's when you learn. You wouldn't know everything under the sun. I wouldn't know everything under the sun in tax law unless I receive such file and that file has got problem A, B, C, D. So that's how you learn over time.
Yeah, I think that's really true. Maybe I can direct this question to Mr. Joe and Miss Manisha. Do you guys have any thoughts or what things you wish to know when you're in law school?
Manisha, do you want to go first? Or?
Mine's very short. Nothing much for me actually. I think what Amira also said was is very true. Like, with time you learn and you realize that, okay, maybe this is not how you do it, maybe that's how you do it, or like, because like I said, I did the bar, so for me it's pretty similar when it comes to advocacy, this, that and all that. Only like the procedure, like criminal procedure and civil procedure and everything, it's a bit different here compared to the English law. So in that sense, I would say with time, there is nothing that I am, I'm just thinking like, I wish, they would have taught us this in law school and everything, because I'm still learning. And I feel like generally in practice, it is a learning curve for you, no matter how many years you are in practice and all that. So I'm still learning. And I think that whatever you learn in law school, if you can put it to practice, great. If you can't, it's okay. You will learn. With time, you will learn how to do things. It becomes a very routine thing for you eventually. Yeah. Joe, please go ahead.
Nothing much, just a slight bit to add on, insofar as that it's really a learning curve that it goes along the way, even until you're up there. But perhaps a tip from me would be that do more internships. I never did any internships back then before I started my pupillage. So I was literally like zero knowledge and I had no idea what it was whatsoever. So stepping into pupillage, and because my firm actually takes in a lot of interns, so I actually felt that, wow, I could have actually benefited quite a lot if I were to do an internship, at least to get the practical exposure that your uni would not give you. There are a lot of things like just even if it's just sitting in with for a client consultation, it's something that you have no knowledge about during in your uni. So that's something that internship does make a difference for you, and really, really go for it. Try it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Joe. So Harshini asked, what are the skills which is necessary for a law student to step into legal practice?
Research skills. So important. Familiarize yourself with all the databases like LexisNexis, CLJ, LawNet. So for text, we have Wolters Kluwer. So basically, it's a database for like text stuff. And then we have iCoronery. I'm sure some of you is like a British text case database as well. I think research skills. Then you do a lot of reading, and if you guys don't have any interest in like reading, so make sure you guys maybe do that section of law that might interest you, so that you are so that it wouldn't be too boring to read, but you are forced to. I know sometimes what I do is just look at the catchwords and then just like control find all the things that I want to buy. That's not nice. That's not good. I wouldn't recommend you to do that, because sometimes you think it is favorable, but actually it's not. When you read until the end, you say, oh shit. Luckily, I read it. Sorry for the S word, but yeah, luckily I actually read it. If I didn't, I would have just put it in my submission and it would be used against me. Yeah. So research skills, guys.
I just want to add drafting. I think you should be able to draft very basic like opinion and all that. I think that's very important also. Just very basic drafting. You should at least know how to formulate your your research. Even like Amira said, research skills is very important. How to formulate your research. It has to be very straight to the point and make sure everything is there. So drafting is very important. That's my opinion. And obviously research skills.
They have this thing called I Like in university, because it was like introduction, law,
Yes.
conclusion, that kind of thing. I think I learned that actually. So but actually it's the same. Yeah, basically introduction, law, application, and then conclusion.
Yeah.
But we must not talk draft as well. Yeah.
Nothing much to add. Say for myself for the structure of things, and it should somewhat at least sound. It should be quite sound in terms of law. I mean, yes, we understand that you're still in your first, second, third year or so, which you may have just started to use that whatever ILEC method that you use to draft your to use to answer your exam papers. But if you actually just take a step back, don't take it so don't be so stressful about it. It's actually just logically you putting your argument or your case forward. Take it as that, and you ought to be comfortable with that. If you yourself, when you read it, you can't convince someone and you need to doubt and ask someone else for a second opinion, that alone is already not really satisfactory. You should at least be very comfortable with your structure, be able to convince what you're trying to put forth, and yes, of course, be sound with your your law. Then that I guess that's the bare minimum, I would say. Yeah, next you need to survive. Yeah, I mean, granted, some areas of law are a bit more tough. They are more contested upon in terms of interpretation. But what I'm saying is that if you at least zoom in on the individual points they're trying to put forth, it should at least sound logical and sound. Yeah, sound. Yeah, logical. Yeah.
So besides legal skills and legal drafting skills, should the students actually equip their communication skill? Because sometimes in practice, you'll meet messy clients like this. So what do you encourage them to do? Maybe I'll direct this question to Mr. Joe first.
Why is it always me? Okay, never mind. Yes, it is definitely very important, only because not only with clients, but your opponent, lawyers, your judges, it's just a whole package, if you ask me. Granted, it may not be the same for your day-to-day conversation and all, but you then actually realize that, hey, while I'm already conversing with judges, I'm already conversing with other lawyers and so on and so forth, over time, it does get very comfortable and you'll be very confident. So that is the kind of satisfaction that I like in terms of communication. But back to the question, whether is it crucial? Yes, it is. And you should really work on it. More so when it comes to locking down your clients, learning how to react to their expressions, how to please them, how to really get them to pay. Get them to be happy with what you do. So yes, it's very, very important.
Okay, I'll direct this question to Ms. Manisha. So what is the best life advice you would give to fellow students who are still unsure about stepping into legal practice?
Life advice. Wow, that sounds so deep. Who wants to step into legal practice, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe for those who are still unsure about whether to step into legal practice.
Unsure. Okay, so if you're unsure, I would still suggest you try it out. Just try it out. It's okay. Even if later you decide practice is not for you, there's so many other things you can do with a law degree, with CLP, with a law degree. You know, you can do so many other things. You can go in-house, you can be a legal advisor, you can do so many different things. You can be a professor. I mean, obviously, I think you'll have to take your master's for that. I'm not so sure. But give it a try. Legal practice is actually very, very interesting because of the areas of law that is there for you to choose from. And if you think that this one specific particular area is the area for you, there's so many things you can do with it. And it's, for me, it's very interesting because I started off with corporate litigation firm where I chambered in. And then I went on to practice for a year plus with Mr. Gobin, criminal. And then now I'm doing civil and family. So it's interesting in the sense where you see the different areas that you can actually jump to, the different areas that you're actually opening up your mind to, and you're experiencing, and the exposure. Because then you realize that actually different areas have got different procedures and have got different ways of dealing with. So give it a try. Just give it a try, and just build up on, when you decide to give it a try, right? Build up on your understanding of the law, on your understanding of the communication skills, your skill set. Like Amira has mentioned many times now, skill set is very important. But give it a try. Do not be scared. Legal practice is not scary at all. You know, there is so many different things you can do. So just try it out.
Yeah, I share the same view as well. Just try it out so that you won't regret, thinking like, oh, I should have done it. I should have tried it out, so you wouldn't have that doubt in your mind whatsoever. So yeah, just try it out. Yeah, give it a try. You won't lose anything by trying. You will only gain.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, Mr. Joy can continue first.
No, go ahead. No need to add.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, might as well I say something first.
Yeah. Go on.
Pretty much, just go for it. Only because, and only unless if you actually have something else in mind other than law, then by all means chase your dreams. But if you're unsure, like how I was or how I still am, maybe, it's still no harm trying. Only because, like what Ms. Manisha said, it opens you up to a lot of things. And I can see it only because whenever my friends talk to something, i.e. friends that I don't meet for the longest time, and somewhat I can relate to what they're talking about. It's not only something good in terms of your communication with them, but you also feel that, hey, I actually know something about what they do. And it's very satisfying in that sense. And with that, you could see that you not only grow in a very so-called I'm a lawyer, that kind of pathway, but you really know that, hey, I'm dealing with so many scenarios, especially your clients' problems. And these problems are actually a lot of things that many other people face from day to day. And knowing these things and knowing how to handle them is just something that is very, not to say fun for me for knowing other people's problems, but at least you know how to handle them as it comes. Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to thank all of you so much to our panelists for giving us such an valuable insight. So I personally learned a lot from this discussion, and I hope the participants feel the same as well. So I think it's a good time to open the floor to the participants. So participants, maybe you guys can just unmute your mic and have a little bit interaction with the speakers here, instead of putting your question at the chat box.
Hi, hello. Am I audible?
Yep.
All right. So my name is Intan. I just want to know, I'm so sorry if someone has asked you this, but how do you choose your area of law? Because for me, I do not know when I graduate later on which area of law should I choose. So I just want to know, how do you choose that?
Maybe do some reading. Maybe read up on the practice on all the practice areas maybe offered in in Malaysia, and then see which one sort of like interest you at least even a bit, and then read up on it, and then maybe try it out. Yeah, I would say that's how you actually get to know lah. I mean, read up a bit, read out a bit, and try it out. That's how I would say. But for my case, when I did tax law, um, I didn't have any knowledge whatsoever. I didn't even know there was like a tax law kind of thing. And then but I just happened to be happened to be placed in the tax they call it the tax SST in customs practice group. So that's when I started to read up and then suddenly gain interest. So most probably, try to research a bit and then read up a bit. And so there's so many things. You can do medical negligence, you can do criminal. Criminal is like so many branches as well. I'm sure Manisha can say something. I don't know anything about criminal. I just did 1 month stint at Masters one Horizon. And then I think like that. Maybe if you want to champion rights of the workers, whatever, you want to do, what are the causes you want to champion for? Maybe that can also start, and figure things that you want to do.
Yep. Okay, other participants, do you have any questions to ask Ms. Manisha?
Hi speakers.
Hello.
I'm Kayin. May I know that what make you to choose the firm that you are currently working at, and like what do you all look at when it comes to choosing a firm or a master?
Okay. Currently the firm that I'm working at practices civil litigation and family, and I've never been exposed to this area of law before. So that was the reason why I decided to go for it, because I've had experience in corporate and I have experience in criminal. I still do criminal on the side here and there a bit, but this firm currently focuses on civil litigation and family. So it's because I told myself that I would give myself at least 5 years after I finish chambering to practice different areas of law and everything, to then later on, when I do intend on starting up my own firm in the near future, not near future, but maybe 7-8 years time. So when that happens, I want to be able to be comfortable enough to know what areas of law that I want to practice at that time, and whether it's just going to be a general litigation or it's going to be a specific area of the law. So that is what that helped me to choose where I'm currently working at right now. And the master, I would say I never had any control over who I got to pick, who I got to work under. So I'm not so sure about the other two, Amira and Joe, but I was just placed under someone. Because there were so many partners in that firm, so I was just placed under someone, but I was still doing work for everyone else. So in that sense, I can't really say much about that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Manisha. Okay.
But for me, when I started, it was I didn't, because as you know, I didn't know what to do as well, what field to venture in, and so for me it was the pay. So I only applied to like law firms who advertise their sort of remuneration. I think this is something that I think would also be a drive lah. Like, oh, I get this much money whatsoever. So for me it was the pay, and then only because I didn't know anybody in the legal industry. If it's not Gopal Sri Ram or Shafi Abdullah, all these like names that you see and read newspaper and the news. Other than that, I don't know anybody. So it was the pay actually for me from the start. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miss Amira. That's really realistic of me too. So maybe other participants, do you have any question to ask? So I think Yasmin, you can unmute your mic and ask Mr. Joe, because Mr. Joe is taking CLP before.
Hi, I'm Yasin.
Hi.
So currently in my third year, and I'm not too sure because TLP has a requirement, which is the second lower. So if let's say I don't meet the requirement, how can I improve from there? And or if I let's say that I do not want to take CLP, what is your advice?
I see. Okay. For starters, I really do hope that you get a second class upper or lower, at least the bare minimum requirement. But if you don't, I believe that you can actually write into a PQB for an exemption. But I don't think the success rate is very high. You would need someone to support your application, i.e. to give some kind of testimonial to the chair of PQB to actually have that. I've heard of it being done, but at the same time, I know that the rate is very, very low. If touch wood, you don't actually get to do a CLP, it's not the end of the world. I believe that if you're actually practicing as a legal clerk for a certain number of, for duration of 7 years, I believe, in a firm, you can actually be granted an articleship. That's something similar of having your license to practice law as well. But that takes you a gross 7 years. But even if you really, really do not want to go down that path, just try something. I mean, of course, if you're doing for the CLP, I think bar is out of the question, but there's no harm in trying if you're up for it. Yeah. But it's not the end of the world, don't worry. And I really hope you pass.
So any other participants have their question to the respective speakers?
Hi all, I'm William here. I would want to ask, do your law firm has a mental health policy in place? Do they take care of the mental health of their employees? Because it's a net negative to allow their mental health to faster there. Yeah.
With my firm, mental health policy not put in place yet. Because how at the end of the day, it's a business, a law firm is a business, not a charity. This is like realistically speaking, they also want to make some money. So I mean, it is equally important. And as I say, you can always speak to your boss about your mental health issue. I'm sure your boss is, will be, is able to listen, and then maybe like, Manisha's boss take some, work off a plate, and then make sure that it is still doable. It's still doable, and she can still continue. I think measures like that will be taken. But policy wise, I'm not so sure because how do you measure, right? Like what is the yardstick to measure one's mental health? For you it might be like, for me to reach maybe it's at 50%, for you to reach maybe it's 70%, 80%, so it's hard. But yeah, I think maybe learn to speak out, voice out, tell your boss, like, these are the things, these are the deadlines, I cannot reach, I cannot meet this deadline, so I really need help. Maybe another associate can jump in and assist, maybe give me a paralegal or pupil to assist. So that's what my boss do. So when I go to him and then he say, okay, you can have this, this so and so will help you. Yeah, things like that. Policy, not sure. We have sexual anti-sexual harassment policy in our firm. We do have that. Yeah, those are the kinds of policy you put in place. Mental health, not yet. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miss Amira, for the question, for the answer. Sorry. Other participants?
Good evening to the speakers. Kashmiran here. I would like to direct this question to Miss Amira. Could you give us advice on Malaysian income tax, like the basic knowledge we should know once we started working?
Basically income tax is very simple. The revenue will only tax you on I'm not sure if this is the revenue will only tax you on your income, your gains. So that's the basic thing that you should know. So when computing your incomes again, so let's say you have a stationery shop. Okay, your stationery shop, today you bring back home 10 ringgit. But in bringing back home 10 ringgit, you have other expenses that you use. So let's say you use 2 ringgit in bringing back 10 ringgit. So realistically speaking, you only bring back home 8 ringgit. So you only tax on the 8 ringgit. So that is the basic of income tax actually. You only tax your income and gains. So if you get ampao, donation, whatsoever, it's not taxable. But if you want to know more in depth, I suggest this book called Verinda on Taxation, or Tax 101 by, it's not 101 lah, it's Taxation Law something by Chong Kwai Fat. You might want to purchase those books and then maybe just flip through. Maybe the easier one is Chong Kwai Fat lah. Verinda is very thick, it's this thick. Yeah. To start. We do have in our firm we do have what we call CLE, so we share knowledge on certain areas of the law. So you might want to join. You might want to drop me an email, and I can also forward you an invite once we have like a Tax 101 talk, things like that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Li Hua, and I would like to ask, how do you deal with clingy clients? Thank you.
I think I can direct this question to Miss Manisha. Do you want to answer this question? I think she has lost a connection. Maybe I can direct this question to Mr. Joe.
Yeah. How to deal with clingy clients? I mean, yes, granted there will be clients who come and bug you more than the others. Some just don't really, not to say don't bother about their case, but they don't really ask for updates until you actually let them know. For some, every step along the way, they would ask you whether has the affidavit been filed, has the draft been done? I would really like to see this clause to be included here and there. And they can text you at the odd days of hours, or even call you for that matter, just to ask you for a very, very simple thing, which, or at least that you think it's simple, but they are very particular about it. For me, I tend to set a kind of, if they are getting too clingy, I would start to just, not to say push them off, but I would just tell them that, yes, it is all under control. Just give them that slight reassurance. It's just a technique on how you actually need to, not to say tai chi them, but you just need to know how to handle their emotions and all. And if they really actually start disturbing you over the weekend, I mean, we are also working on weekends sometimes, but if they still pester you Saturday, Sunday, and they call you for that matter, and you don't know what's a very good reason to actually reject them, by all means say that you are spending time with your family and you actually call them back the moment you're done. And to me, that works out really, really well for me, because they understand, it gives them the perspective that we are also humans and we also have a family, our lives. So that alone justifies us, not to say shutting them up, but yeah, just to get you that extra time and put things in perspective for them. Yeah, that's how I would deal with clean clients.
Yeah, but a lot of times these clean clients also, I mean, you cannot blame them. Like, I think some, I mean, I have like a lot of clean clients as well, and I understand because there's a lot of money at stake, you know, and they're also worried, you know, cases are in your, you know, your case is in court, you know, it's not an enjoyable thing, I would say, for them. Of course, litigation is always the last route, right? People say you try to settle the matter out of court first. So sometimes you have to like understand, but I'm sure if they actually like, you know, step the boundaries, call you on weekends, whatnot. Yeah, I would say the same. You know, I'm actually with my son out the whole day. I can only revert my so and so. They would totally understand. I don't think so that our clients would then just go like berserk or on the rage. But do know that it is really tough to get clients. So you must try to know how to manage your clients. Clients are very important. Your clientele is very important. Something that actually my boss sort of like made sure that all of us know, because there's so many law firms. There are so many law firms. The competition is there. So yeah, retaining retaining clients also is very important. So yeah, managing clients. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Amira. I'm afraid due to time constraint, we will only be able to take in another one question from the participants. So anyone have any question? Can kindly unmute yourself and ask the speakers.
Hi, speakers. Good evening. My name is Jason. So as you mentioned that the skills that we must possess to become a legal practitioner are research skills and drafting skills. Am I right? So yes, we do know that these are the crucial skills for us to become a legal practitioner. But how do we like improve this kind of skills and like how to learn how to learn to do research in the most effective way, and then how to draft, this kind of thing.
Decent practice makes perfect. You got to practice. I think. I mean, it's I think something that yeah, you do many times. Like let's say you just give yourself a problem. You tell yourself, okay, I have this contract issue. So why don't you just try and go on LexisNexis and see how you can solve your issue? Maybe that would help. And then going through the databases, reading through a lot of cases will actually help you in seeing how the judge come to a conclusion, making the decision and all of that. Yeah, I think really like practice. I mean, you have to do it on your own accord and effort lah. Nothing comes easy in life. A lot of it is a lot of effort must be put in. I guess there's no shortcut. Yeah, I would say that.
Thank you, but the problem is that how could I know that whether am I on the right track on doing, on like researching or drafting, whether am I doing the right way?
There's always no right and wrong answer. So long as you yourself doing that research, you yourself reading your whatever that you have drafted, and you yourself is confident of the outcome, I think that's already okay. Because there's no right and wrong. It could be like, there could be the plaintiff thinks they're correct, defendant also think they're correct, applicant think they're correct, respondent also think they're correct. Everyone thinks they're correct. Yeah, so there's no right and wrong. There's always like different ways you view or interpret the law. So that's why at the end of the day we have a judge sitting there. Then after that, seeing which one, which party can then what is the word? Which party can Joe help me? I just lost word. Which party can what's the word? Convince the judge.
Convince him better.
Yeah,
convince him.
Yeah, like that.
I think you have to be very thorough with your research. Cover all areas. Don't leave any areas out. So that's when you know that, okay, no matter what, you have done everything from A to Z, and nothing can come in as a surprise for you lah. So your research has to be very thorough. Cover everything possible about that area. Sometimes, I mean, once you reach a certain point where you're comfortable with your research skills, then you can just research the keywords, this, that, and all that. But before that, in order to make yourself better, like Amira said, there's no right or wrong answer, but cover all the areas so that you can build a proper research and opinion and all that, where it's strong enough to bring it in, in a submission, to put it in a submission or whatnot.
Yeah, always think about like what if they come up with this argument? What is my defense? What if they come up with this argument? What's the rebuttal? What should I? Yeah, things like that might help. I mean, you yourself, when you read your opinion or things like that, you must be very confident and comfortable to be able to give it to another party, or also like answering maybe you ask yourself like, okay, so what if the situation's like this? What if the situation like that? So maybe most probably that's how you actually make it like thorough as possible.
Or perhaps, if I may suggest, taking up an internship, because at least there will be someone to give you the yardstick on where you stand. Because maybe your question was posed from the sense that what is expected of you once you step into legal practice, and you having the internship, and of course, if your firm actually gives you work and looks through your work, then you would roughly know, okay, whether I need to brush up on my research or my legal drafting skills. But of course, if you are going for legal drafting, perhaps read up. There'll be a lot of books out there on written and oral advocacy, as well as if you are looking at research, I guess the simple basis that you need to cover would also be just knowing how to navigate around say, for example, the LexisNexis website, how to use your quotation marks to narrow down your search, because I'm pretty sure a lot of law students out there don't actually know the mechanics or how the platform was actually created to be. It's there for you. It's there to simplify things, not to complicate things. And if you know how to use their functions, that can up your game. But of course, back again, if you just really want someone to be the yardstick of yours, to know whether you're ready for practice or not, of course, granted, like what Amira and Manisha said, it's different at each level. It's very subjective, but at least you have someone to tell you that X level of standard. And if they're happy, you should be happy.
Okay, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. So I apologize if we were unable to answer all your questions, but we thank you for your interest. So that's all for this session. We hope everyone has learned a thing or two out of this panel discussion. So on behalf of MLSN, I would like to thank Mr. Joe, Ms. Amira, and Ms. Manisha again for taking some time out of their busy schedules to join us and for sharing their experience and advice in today's session. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to see you in the next upcoming session, which is the introductory session for the second assignment at 6 to 7:30 p.m. Okay, see you and take care. Bye.
Bye guys. For your next
Thanks for
session.
inviting us.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.